Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite official content creator, the First Descendant, and if you like my work, don't forget to register me as your creator, alright? Now, today what I'm going to go through is a Last Dagger build for Gley that is designed to work in all situations. I'm going to say this up front. If you're expecting 6-second Defiler kills or super cool absolute destruction of your enemies, you will not get that here because that requires you to specialize your gun. I have chosen to create a general build that will apply to all activities so you can be lazy. In future, when they have like presets, loadouts for guns, whatever they want to call it, that allow you to change your cores on the fly or something like that, I think the devs promised something like that, then by all means, it would be way better to choose a specialized build. What do I mean by a specialized build? For example, if you want to build this solely for like the 6-second Defiler kills that are all over YouTube, the first one, instead of firearm critical hit damage, would be electric attack. All right, so you would choose to specialize it specifically for Defiler kills. Or if you really wanted to absolutely own stage 30 of the Void Erosion, you would specialize it for chill damage. Okay, so I've chosen a pathway that does not result in specialization. I do want to try a third firearm attack, but I'll do so at a later date when I've got more cores. For now, though, this is Gley's build. This is how to build her for a generalized Last Dagger build. You can still kill Defiler faster than an S, and you can still clear stage 30 of the Void Erosion better than 90% of people. All right, this is exactly what you guys have seen on my stream. Let's get started. First and foremost, to build this build, what you are going to need is the hot spring skins for Gley. All right, I'm just kidding. You don't need that. But what you are going to need is a reactor. The reactor can be any element. It doesn't matter because Gley does not use any skill damage in this build at all. What you need is skill cooldown and duration gold rolls. This is exceptionally important. Next, you are going to use the Annihilation set. There are other sets that are viable, but I find that the Annihilation set gives me the best balance, and I love the fact that the 2-set effect is skill duration, which helps me out because it helps me match the duration of Gley's third skill, cooldown, and how long it lasts, okay? So the Annihilation set is what I like to use. Now, for the Annihilation set, the first piece, the auxiliary power, you are going to need max hit points, and then your other roll can be anything. I recommend a resistance roll if you want, but it's up to you. For the Annihilation sensor, you are going to need the HP recovery modifier, and the other roll can be anything you want. It's usually a resistance roll. Here, defense is the crucial one, and the other roll is usually a resistance roll. And here, for the processor, max shield, or equipment drop rate increase, whatever, doesn't matter, and then a resistance roll, because this particular external component has nothing realistically useful for Gley. All right, I'll be upfront about that. So that's it. You've got your Annihilation set. Now, let's move on to the weapon. For the main weapon for this build, you are going to need the Last Dagger. All right, the Last Dagger is the crucial key to this build. Why is it the kingpin of this build? Why is it the linchpin of this build? Why is it so good? Well, first and foremost, let me go through the substats and the rolls before we explain why it's so good. In terms of these substats, you are going to need firearm attack, weak point damage, firearm critical hit damage, and firearm critical hit rate. All gold rolls if possible. For the cores, you'll need 2 fire rate rolls. They need to be at least 18%, all right? Try to get them as close to 20 as possible. 2 firearm attack rolls, try to get them as close to 80 as possible. And the free slot at the top, the free core, I used critical hit damage because I found that to be the best bang for my buck. However, firearm weak spot damage would actually help you kill things even faster and give you a higher overall multiplier, which would also improve your Colossi kill time. So you don't have to use critical hit damage. The only reason I use critical hit damage is that sometimes in the Void Erosion Purge, you are unable to hit the smaller target's weak spots as compared to Colossi. So I went with critical hit damage, taking a lower overall DPS, just so that I can benefit even when I'm not directly striking a weak spot, and you've got plenty of modules to cover the weak spot in this build, all right? Now, why is the Last Dagger so good? First and foremost, the Last Dagger has an insane base fire rate, which can be improved with cores and all that. It's also got really, really good firearm attack, which means that when you are taking about 50% of this with your inversion reinforcer to transform into chill damage, you're going to get much higher multipliers. It's also got a base critical hit rate of 12%, which combined with its unique ability makes it do some fantastic damage. The base critical hit multiplier is 2 times. And the weak spot damage multiplier is 1.6 times, which is fantastic. Both of these will multiply your elemental damage now. That being said, there is one downside to this gun, which is the 18-meter effective range. This means you have to be fairly close to actually take advantage of the Last Dagger. I know it's a very accurate gun, but take note that the maximum range is only 38 meters. This means that anything further than 18 meters, you are losing damage, as you can see per the graph down the bottom. This means that you have to be careful about how far you are when firing this gun. You don't need to be right in their face like a shotgun, but you do need to be aware that, you know, the distance that you have is going to be minimal so that you can fire this gun effectively. All right. The damage drop-off is also pretty steep. So by the time you get to 38 meters, you're already at 30% of your actual damage. So do be aware of that. All right. Okay. The unique ability of this gun is what brings this whole thing together, and it's what makes it so strong. The unique ability of this gun is called Ultimatum. When you hit an enemy, you will gain the effects of Patience and Lethal Dagger. Okay? Patience is reset on reload at max stacks and will give you the Strike ability. The Strike will consume all rounds in your magazine and fire a single enhanced round that does massive damage. All right? So that's what the Strike ability does. When Strike ability is removed, you will gain Steps. Steps will last for 30 seconds and give you 15% increased movement speed. All right, so be aware of that. The Lethal Dagger ability, though, whenever you hit an enemy, you will gain this ability for 15 seconds. The max stacks to 30, and it increases your firearm critical hit rate by 2.2 per stack. This actually equates, if you multiply it out, all right, this actually equates to a base increase of 66 critical hit rate. Add that onto the base critical on the gun, and you're pretty much always going to be hitting a critical hit, which is fantastic. All right. So this is what makes the Last Dagger so good, and this is how Gley can utilize this weapon to constantly hit crits. Now, for the build for the Last Dagger, here's what I've done. For the Void Erosion, what I have is Rifling Reinforcement, Action and Reaction, better concentration, concentration priority, weak point sight, and half aiming. I did test with focus fire, but it just wasn't as good. And considering the high accuracy of the Last Dagger, half aiming, although it saps 20% accuracy, should not matter because you still have an aim shot accuracy of 94.44 and a hip fire accuracy of 86.66. All right, which is absolutely fantastic. Let me just double check. Oh, sorry, it goes down to 69 and 75. Sorry, you always have to use the info screen on the main window to see the actual effects of all the modules. So although the accuracy does go down, it's still a very accurate weapon, so you don't need to worry too much about that. All right. Then you've got your elemental slot for Void Erosion. Assuming you're farming stage 30, you'll be using Chill. If you're going stage 28, 29, you will need Electric, so adjust accordingly. Weak point sight and mental focus is therefore the last few things you'll need, and they are absolutely important. Why mental focus, although it reduces your fire rate? This is because with 2 fire rate cores, your fire rate for this gun already reaches 1,300, as you can see from the info screen. This is actually a bit of a problem because another respected YouTuber, all right, without naming names because you know I never do that, another respected YouTuber has done a study into fire rate and how you can get ghost bullets if your fire rate is too high. I found the study to be good and I have followed it, and therefore this I find is the ideal fire rate for this gun. Anything further is going to make your gun have ghost bullets, and that lowers your overall DPS, even if you have a high frame rate. All right, I run this game about 120 frames, and even then, you will still get the occasional ghost bullet at this level of fire rate. But if your fire rate is any lower than this, your TDK suffers, time to kill. So I found that this is the best bang for my buck. This is what has helped me the most, okay? So that's why we use mental focus, and it also buffs your firearm attack, which is fantastic, goes up to 150%, which is amazeballs, all right? So this is why we do that. Now, if you're going to use this to kill a Colossus, okay, I will demonstrate this later, but you'll notice I'm not using Ultra Precision Strike. This is because if you put Ultra Precision Strike into this build, and assuming you're using my generalized build instead of having, as you know, Electric Attack on the first core roll, what will actually happen is that the Colossus will enter Frenzy, and through repeated tests, we found that the best way to stop it from entering Frenzy is to use Rifling Reinforcement and not take advantage of Walk a Tightrope. Although you certainly can, you need the Colossus to do at least one attack, all right, so that you can knock it down guaranteed. I'll demonstrate this later and in a subsequent video showcasing how you can get the Colossus kills consistent without specializing into electric damage, okay? So there's that. This is for the Colossus build. It's pretty much the exact same thing, except that, in fact, it actually is the exact same thing, except that we're using electric priority. There's no difference between this. I arranged the mods differently, but there's literally no difference in the terms of modules that we're using for the Colossus build and for the Void Erosion. The only thing that's different is the elements, okay? So even if you take a screenshot and compare, you'd get the exact same modules. They're in different spots, but it's the exact same stuff, okay? All right, now that we've gone this far, you understand the Reactor External Components. You understand the weapon, why it's so good. What about Gley's build? For Gley herself, this is what I'm using on Gley for the Void Erosion. For the Colossus, I replaced the HP Collector with Walk Tightrope. In case I manage to get low, the increased firearm attack helps me out, but in a realistic situation, this is not actually necessary, and you do just fine without it. All right, so be aware of that. I did try with the conditional recharge and all that, but because my build is different to what several others are using out there to get, you know, very, very fast kills, this worked a lot better for me. And again, I'll demonstrate it later. All right, so just take note of the modules: Nimble Fingers, MP Conversion, Maximize Duration, Skill Extension. These are all absolutely necessary. Shot Focus, Increase Hit Points, Stim Accelerant is your survival. You can have just one focus module. It doesn't even have to be leveled. You just want the additional cooldown here. And I like to use Defense because it keeps me alive in the Void Erosion, and HP Collector for the Void Erosion as well. Shot Focus is a must to increase your firearm attack. For the Colossus, like I said, HP Collector changes to Walk Tightrope, and you're good to go. Transcendent module is Predator Instinct, which will help the Last Dagger because you can continuously fire for more than 2 seconds. Okay? All right. There's that. Now you've seen the build, you've heard everything about it, I've fully explained it to you. Let's do some demonstrations. First, let's go into the Void Erosion. All right? So for the Void Erosion, please make sure to change your Inversion Reinforcer. You are going to have chill rounds here. I'm still using Cellular Stimulation and Antibody Explosion. This is pretty standard for me. Okay, we're going to go to the Void Erosion build. There we go. It's already got chill put in place. Let's head to stage 30 right now. And let's get in there. So I'm just going to do a private operation. I'll run through it. And then after that, I just realized my green screen is sort of hovering a little bit in and out of reality. Sorry about that. Sometimes it does that, but just gotta bear with it because it likes to exist. There we go. That should ease it up a little bit. Okay, let's carry on. Just turn on your Predator Instinct and off you go. So, when running Void Erosion Stage 30, the main thing to understand is that you don't need to worry too much about AoE. Your gun will take care of everything by itself. Alright? However, enemies are still dangerous, so please do not just go willy-nilly. Try and aim for the heads where possible, and try to keep moving. I usually go for the Grenadiers first, although the Storm Warriors are also problematic. I try to stay at a reasonable range, and then I go in close when I need to kill them, and that allows me to do all the burst damage. Alright? So this is in general what I do, and it tends to work very well. Remember that you don't want to be too far from your opponent, because if you are too far, you will not get the best damage. Again, please be reminded that your gun has an effective range of 18 meters, so you want to stay relatively close to everybody and everything. Alright? It's okay to miss a few shots, but the idea is go in close enough to hit the head, and there you go. Once you can consistently hit the head, it's that easy. Okay, no problems. Anything else surviving? Just pop it. There you go. Alright, there. As you can see, we're already beating the timer. Now, it is a lot faster in a group, because in a group, somebody can just bring the Restored Relic and wipe out all the small guys, so you don't need to waste, like, even a second focusing on them. You can just wipe them all out. Now, you'll notice that I've turned off damage numbers. Why is that the case? It's because it improves my frames slightly. And besides, damage numbers are not important. They also can cloud your screen. So some folks have been really happy ever since you could turn off damage numbers. Alright? If you want, I can turn them on in a future demonstration or on stream. But if you want the best frames, turn them off, and you'll have an easier time. Some people say it's hard to see like whether or not you're hitting a weak spot, but I mean the weak spot of these guys is the head, so it's not hard to see the Vulgus's head and just shoot that. Yeah. Like I said, it's easier to sight the head without any numbers flying up in front of it. Also, if you're willing to sort of like move forward while firing, you can actually go through these areas a little bit faster by clever positioning, but you know, me being who I am, I just sort of I have the habit already of just shooting them down first, so I never position aggressively. However, you can get a slightly faster clear time with aggressive positioning, so just be aware of that. And what do I mean by aggressive positioning? It means that, you know, while you're moving up, while you're shooting and killing, you're moving up constantly toward the other area, toward the next spawn. Again, I've noticed a lot of people like to do that. At first I didn't understand it, but it does work out. And you'll notice I'm always going for grenadiers first, before the panzers. The panzers are a threat, but they don't deal as much damage and they're unlikely to insta-give you. The grenadiers, on the other hand, will insta-give you, so please be careful. Now, even if you die once or twice, it's really, really not going to be a problem. Because you're going to clear this in more than enough time. But, obviously, if you want the best times, you don't want to ever die. Alright? And if you do die, well, it's okay. Like I said, genuinely, you are not going to be lacking for time. This particular room has the highest death rate out of the whole run, but it's only because there are multiple grenadiers that do spawn. And you have to deal with some of these guys too in a very wide open space. So you can't really just like mash your way through them like I normally would. That's okay. If you're the type like me to lose targets, just pop in a C-scan so you can see them through the walls and whatnot. Even when dodging attacks, don't go too far from your opponent. Again, you don't want to be out of the effective damage range, so be aware of that. And please do avoid the bombs where possible. Okay, good. You've killed them all. Now head up there. Oh, there's one more. Well, that's alright. Now, once this guy spawns, you can do the usual and take advantage of this. I would say angle yourself slightly to the side so he doesn't hit you as hard, and you can sort of do something like this. Alright, by the time you cast this thing, you should be more than fine. Now just kill off the little minions. Like so. There we go, and clear. So that was 7 minutes, roughly. You can get a better timing if you want. Just specialize this weapon into cold, and you'll probably be like 4 or 5 minutes because everything is going to die hard instead of using crit damage on your first roll. But there you go. That's the Void Erosion demonstrated. Now, I'm sure you guys would like to see a Defiler kill as well. I will happily swap everything over, then we'll do a Defiler kill, and that'll be the thorough build video. Okay, let's go. Now, if you guys haven't fallen asleep in my video by this point, then let me just continue showing you what I do. Okay, so Colossus build now, like I said, literally the same thing. You can swap these two and it will look exactly the same. Yeah, there you go. Inversion Reinforcer, please choose your electric focus rounds. Now for Gley's build, we're going to go with the Colossus gun build. Literally the same thing as I mentioned before. Okay, and we're going to go in. Now, I'm going to show you how I do this. All right, theoretically, you can trigger walk tightrope, but I'm not going to for this particular run. And I'll show you how we do it that way. Okay, please take note that he may still enter frenzy. And if he does, then it's because, keep an eye on the frenzy meter, it's because he wasn't attacking when the frenzy meter hits 100%. Because if he is attacking when the frenzy meter hits 100%, you actually deal enough damage to knock him down, even if you don't have walk tightrope trigger. Alright, you can trigger it, but you don't have to. Alright, so I'm gonna stop slightly shy of triggering walk tightrope. Something like that. Okay. That should be just enough. It won't trigger walk tightrope, but it does give us a bit of a gun boost. Now, you want to start behind him, just like with an S. Alright. And just aim for the right knee. I usually find the right knee the best. I'll just aim for that. And while he attacks, you see that? He will get knocked down guaranteed. Because his frenzy meter, alright, did not go up all the way until after his attack was complete. So he didn't have time to go into frenzy. And there you go. Just like that, you've killed him. Now, this is not going to be a 6-second kill time, but you can get around 15 to 17 seconds, depending on the crits that you do. All right, this is how it works now. It is still faster than an S's clear time by roughly 10 seconds. So you're saving 10 seconds. You are about 40% faster without specializing your gun. Okay, so this is how you do it. If you guys need a more technical demonstration, I can spend an entire video talking about Defiler and showing you guys multiple runs like I've done in the past. Ask in the comments and I'll happily do it. All right, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys have had a good time. Now, before we go, all right, we got to thank February's top supporters. Top tipper CG Mayhem. Top tipper list includes Jess. Top super chatter is Lawbreaker. Top super chat list includes CU Yuri, Sir Tommy, Per Crab, Rafi Jana, D Russ. Top channel membership gifter includes Joe D Wilkins and Arcane Silver 300. I think Matthias is also supposed to be in that top super chat list. Not sure why he's not in there. And Jonathan, thank you so much as well. Jonathan Terry. Yeah? Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to register me as your creator. Enjoy Gley's build. And there will be more videos coming soon. Okay? See you later. You have a good one.